Tesco's just turned up.
Well,
Not for us,
you haven't. I can say, have you ordered from Tesco's?
No, God, I haven't won the lottery. My word.
Yeah, they're the most expensive supermarket in the UK,
they are.
apparently.
I know.
That's nuts.
I know.
I love the fact that we're about to go live and we've immediately switched to talking about food.
Of course we have, though. You've been in long enough to know the rules.
You know cereal? We know that it's like breakfast cereals like Cocoa Pops and Frosties and that. You know how rubbish they are nowadays?
Right.
Because they've taken everything that was ever good about Cocoa Pops, Frosties and stuff they've taken out.
You mean they took the sugar out?
Exactly, right. So
because they were made to by a previous government.
And this will shock you, Matt. This will shock you. I went into Co-op last weekend and brought a box of this random named Cookies Marshmallow cereal from Co-op in a randomly coloured box. And do you know what?
It's the best cereal you've ever had. Yeah, absolutely.
So good comment in the chat from Richard E. Flagg. He says, evening food talking podcast team.
I mean, he has a point.
And John Falk wants to know what our favourite cereal is.
Cookies Marshmallows from Co-op.
Right, okay. Mine, I'm afraid I don't do cereal.
I'm a bit of a Weetabix kind of guy, I think.
Yeah, it's all right if you like cardboard, I suppose.
Shredded cardboard.
Well, there is that. I'm afraid I'm a Marmite and peanut butter man. I am on toast. Oh, here we go. You're as bad as Mr. Abel, you are. He goes every time I mention Marmite.
Oh, just the smell.
What?
Good Lord.
Oh, hello. Oh, the chat room's gone nuts.
Bacon butty, yeah.
Bacon butty.
Bacon butty with a bit of avocado.
Oh, God, no.
What?
Why would you have to spoil it?
Oh, hello.
Love it.
Yeah, no. I think you're missing the point there. I think you're missing the point there, Carlos, in terms of His Majesty Nick with his avocado for breakfast.
Well, Nev's not here, so someone's got to be
somebody's got to drag the standards up.
Jenna has that, and it looks awful.
I know. Having said that, as I say, my mother actually had avocado for her lunch as well. It was very suitable.
It's wonderful, darling. It's wonderful.
Says Vegemite rules, which is
oh yes, actually, no, I'll give you
basically
that.
Marmite.
Yeah, well, yeah, but it was, funnily enough, a vegetable-based extract rather than beef.
Lee Davies wins the award because the bacon butty with HP sauce.
Now I do like a bit of and it's got to be the HP sauce and not like the cheap brown, supermarket own equivalent for me personally.
Yeah,
mainly because it's just a little tiny bit spicy. And yes, hobby time. I love Marmite crisps.
Well, that's just Twiglets.
Matt, have you ever tried the peanut butter with Marmite in it?
Right, I'm going to tell you a very embarrassing story here now.
Crikey. Don't know where this is going.
I like it so much, Nick, that I actually order it in crate loads. So I genuinely order it not from the supermarket, but from Amazon because it means I can buy it by the crate load.
I think Sir might have
I bet you have it on that subscribe and save.
I absolutely do. Yes. Yeah. But it saves me 6p per order. I mean, come on. Every little helps.
Wow.
Yeah. Anyway, so
we may have digressed.
Yes. So sincere apologies, guys. We are starting ever so slightly late. I've had a bit of a technical problem here in the studio, which I've almost resolved. So hopefully we'll be getting out of the way in the next 2 or 3 minutes. But sixpence none the richer. Thank you, Captain Cruise. I appreciate your support in this difficult time.
Wasn't that a group? Wasn't that a group?
Yeah, Sixpence None the Richer. They did a song called "Kiss Me, Dear."
That's it. Kiss Me. That's the one. Yes,
indeed. So I'm just going to very quickly. I've still got some files to load in, but I can hopefully do those on the fly. So if nobody minds, I'm just going to quickly go and get myself a glass of.
All right then.
Go and get myself a glass of water, and then we'll get underway.
I'm having a tin of some weird stuff that Gemma got me from her latest shopping trip, which is
some weird stuff. She bought you a beer. Why?
Rosa Blanca.
Ooh, that sounds nice.
It's from Mallorca.
I presume it's beer, or is it like rosé in a can?
It's beer. Yeah, it's like a.
It's wine in a can,
lager, actually.
Is it? Okay.
Yeah. Like a wheat beer, is it?
No, it's just normal lager.
Anyway,
but
just getting a drink. Hang on.
I'm not generally a lager drinker, but this is actually not that bad. So.
I'm now slightly regretting not having got beer.
Do you know what? Oh, my word. I've got to tell you this, right? So, for those of you who are listening in the US, we have a brewery here in the UK, right near me and Matt, called the Acronyms Brewery. It's in Southwell, just on the coast. Now, Acronyms make this thing called Ghost Ship. It's one of their flagship ales. It's really, really, really nice citrus kind of ale. And a few years ago, Acronyms released a non-alcohol version, and it was rank, rancid. It was just, it's awful. It's the worst thing ever they could have done. Anyway, Saturday, I was around Sturman's, our birthday boy from last week, and he had some Guinness, non-alcohol Guinness, or no-alcohol Guinness, in the draft cans with the widget. And do you know what? Surprisingly enough, it actually tasted okay.
I might have to try that.
Yeah. Yeah, it was actually really nice. I didn't mind it at all.
I remember once trying some alcohol-free Gordon's gin.
Oh, gin.
I kind of wish I'd used it.
What do you mean blurt to gin? You can shove
that.
No.
I don't like gin. You and Gemma are the two who like gin.
All right, alcohol-free gin should be definitely a blurt.
I mean, you couldn't even clean the toilet with it. It was dreadful.
I mean, you could. In fact, that's probably what you should use it for. But yeah, there we go. Oh yes. What did I do today, by the way, Nick? After I'd had all my various appointments, just take a quick look at your Zoom screen. There you go.
Hey.
Me and my friend had a little wander up Yarmouth seafront.
Did you go and play crazy golf?
We nearly did, actually, and then I discovered I couldn't stand up, so we thought it was probably about time we went back.
Love a bit of crazy golf.
Yeah, well, they've got an indoor crazy golf, which is perfect for Yarmouth.
Good for the British summertime.
Indeed, absolutely. I can see a Gemma in the far corner. Hello, Gemma.
Oh, I'll turn my microphone back on.
Hello, dear. You're right.
You're right.
Yes, living the dream. Living the dream. That's lovely, Carlos.
Can you swap with Carlos, please?
Yes, if you wouldn't mind.
It's a much nicer view.
I know. I've seen. It's the second time I've seen Gemma today. It's very exciting. Anyway, we better get. We better.
Give these people a podcast.
You going? Tara, right, okay.
Yes.
All right.
Yeah, love to Tara, please.
Yes, we'll do.
Right, okay, darling.
Right.
Have fun painting your nails or whatever you're doing.
Painting your nails.
Oh, no, she's not.
Masha is very excited to see you, by the way, Gemma.
Oh, Masha's there. Look, she says, Gemma.
Yeah, I know. We were actually talking about that while we were having our fake coffee.
Not very often you see the hair down. Look, come on.
Oh, say what
come
treat?
on,
No, it's a mess.
It's not a mess. Look, look at that. Look.
Oh, say it's full of volume, dear. Lovely.
So you haven't lived until you married a redhead.
Right. Okay. I don't know what to do with that information, Carlos.
Come with health warning.
Yeah, government health warning. Yeah, you can't take them out in the sun or anything. It's brilliant.
Jack says hello. Bye. She's off.
Okay, yeah, she's off. Suitably embarrassed now. Nice work, Carlos.
That says conditioner talking UK pod.
We're basically going to see how much of the show we can do without talking about airplanes.
Yeah, should we probably do some actual podcasting?
Yeah, we better do a show.
Now that I'm more or less, I've just.
Am I doing the VMix socials, Matt? I'm now going to log in.
Oh, give me 2 seconds. See, I knew I'd missed something. Hang on, give me a second.
Christ, this is almost like APG now.
Oh, how dare you! How dare you! It's only we're only 9 minutes late. That's. Just bear with me a moment. Minor technical issue. I'm having one. Long story short, I changed my internet service provider, and it's produced me with a few headaches getting us online. So apologies for that. I should have known really. Oh, okay. Oh, there we go. Hopefully that should work now, Carlos.
I've just realised, Carlos, you're cleanly shaven again this week.
Yeah, I know. Gemma got frustrated with the beardum.
Yes, that's fair enough. That is fair enough. I've just got one very minor, quick thing. I'm so sorry. I'm having so many problems here. Hopefully that'll all be fine once this has all been sorted out. Okay. Move that.
Oh, that's lovely.
Move that up there and remove that. Okay, I think I think we're ready to go. So shall we do the honours?
Yes, let's go.
Okay, let me wallop that up there, and we're off. Oh, I better bring that fader up there, otherwise we won't hear anything. And I think that's it. Here we are. Good luck, everyone.
Doodle pip.
20 seconds.
Here we go. Let's make this another good one. This
15.
This evening.
And 10.
9, 8.
Here we go.
6, 5, 4, 3.
Well, hello and welcome to episode 512 of the Plane Talking UK podcast. I'm Carlos, and in this week's show, we've got eVTOLs, UAVs, an apology from Delta, and Ryanair are cutting fares. Yes, you heard me right. Hope you were sitting down for that one. In the military news, we've got some terrifying AI, a KC-135, and a near miss for the Blue Angels. So joining me this week, self-proclaimed broadcasting nerd, IT whiz, coach driving, pub landlord, and secret aviation geek.
Emphasis on secret there. Emphasis on secret.
Hello.
Hello. How are you?
Oh, good. Yes, I'm very happy. Yes, very happy. I've got a beer.
Oh, you're happy.
Got a beer. I had
well
my.
Done. What's the secret?
I had food before we started the show, which is always good.
Oh, did you? Who get you? Well, that's
little
nice.
Little ding dinner tonight.
Ding ding, lovely. Okay.
Yeah.
Back to the buses again.
Back to the buses. Yeah. Well, microwave buses.
Well,
But it's been nice. We've had that weird yellow thing in the sky this week.
Oh, I know, and for reasons
it's up here actually.
Yes, indeed, just behind you. Yeah, and by some sheer miracle, I actually had a day off work today, and was able to enjoy it.
Yeah, you had a nice time. You went to our one of our regional coastal areas.
I did. I went to Great Yarmouth.
Great Yarmouth.
Yeah, I know, absolutely. Actually, to be fair, we started the day in Galston, round by the yachting leg. That was quite nice, and then ruined it by going to Yarmouth. So yeah, via the James Paget Hospital. As you do.
I take it you left your car in Norwich and got the bus to Yarmouth.
Might as well have done. Yeah, absolutely. It would have made more sense. Actually, we were pleasantly surprised at how close we were able to park to stuff. Given the sort of like the tropical conditions that were present there. Anyway, yes, so that's it. That's essentially my day in a nutshell.
So we are running a skeleton crew this week. Armando's doing rich people things in biz jets. Captain Andy's off to go and see a man about a lion.
What?
And Captain Andy's off to go and see a man about a lion at the Roman Colosseum. And Nev's been kidnapped by AV types. So Nick's in off the subs bench this week. Hello, Nick.
Hi, Carlos. You all right? Good to be back. Nice to see everybody. I see.
Armando is going to be sending in some strongly worded emails, I think, on the back of that.
I do love your intros, Nick.
Well, I don't know if we've got any stories with funny, sort of funny place names or people with complicated surnames this week. So I'll have to try a bit harder with those.
No, don't feel obliged. All good. Can we get a special show, Jonathan Warner's most epic shot? Yeah, definitely. Absolutely. In fact, there's an incredible one just behind me here. I'm trying to think. I know it's in Italian something or other. What is it? Can you guys remember?
The freaky tricolore or something, isn't it? Freaky, fresh.
It does say on the wing what it is, Matt.
So or tornado.
Yeah.
Oh, right, okay. All right, that'll
Quite
do
big
it.
letters.
Yeah, okay. It's a colourful tornado then, an Italian tornado.
It looks fantastic.
Well, actually, Jonathan's in the chat room, so he'll probably perk up in a minute.
He will.
I think
absolutely.
they're over. I think they were displaying at Oshkosh yesterday.
Oh, wow. Okay.
I saw some video online. It looked really good because they had the kind of red, white, and green, or green, white, red. I'm not sure which way round it should be. But yeah, it looked amazing. They sort of did a big swooping pass and came in with all the smoke going, with the sort of the smoke in the Italian flag, and it looked absolutely superb. So we need to be heading out there for that next year, I think.
Indeed. And actually, can I? So while we're talking about Mr. Warner, actually sent me another picture along with that one that we were talking about here, because he went to Riyadh with his son Max, who was busy playing with cameras, shall we say. And whilst Mr. Warner is not a huge fan of the planes that the photos were being taken of, I think because he has a terrible name that he likes to use for them, this, I think, is probably, for me personally, the shot of the air show. I think that is utterly
good,
awesome.
yeah.
Having little Max there busy taking his photos, and I just love that. I think that is so cool. So
and
cool.
that is how we need to promote aviation for younger people now, is with shots like that.
Yeah, definitely.
Oh, definitely.
Yeah. I think he's got the, as they say in some industries, I think he's got the money shot there. That's a really
good.
quite a cool photo. So yeah, well done, Max. The other question I want to ask Mr. Warner is, how many photos? I know he did like probably something ridiculous like 120 odd thousand photos. Just out of interest, how many photos did Max take? Out of curiosity, and have we got any? I'd love to see some decent ones actually as well. See how well he's doing learning from his dad. That's definitely.
Can you imagine a bag of SD cards that Jonathan Warner carries around?
Hundreds of them, positively hundreds of them. Yeah, never mind. Yeah,
but
love that.
Let's say hello to everyone who's joined us in the chat room tonight. So let's kick off the top of the list with our local listener, Mazus. Hello to you. Hobby Time is also in there this week. Richard Adams, hello there. Nick Codling, he's in there as well. Ruffian he is. John Falk is also in there. Lee Davies, hello to you. Alan White, our good friend over in Ireland. Hello to you, Alan. We have got, obviously, Jonathan Warner's in there, our resident photographer, who spent most of his time at Riyadh, although he did have to leave early Saturday, which he was rather impressed about. More on that later. Masha's in there as well. Hello to you. Good to see you, Masha. And Richard E. Flagg. Again, Richard, some awesome pictures this week on your socials of some really, really great airfields around here in the UK. Really good. John Falk, hello Tanya. Hello to you, Tanya. Good to see you in there. Thanks for joining us, Tanya. Hope it's warm where you are, Tanya. It's been lovely here in the UK. Masha's in there. I guess Hobby Time. Hopefully I don't miss anyone out. Make sure I haven't missed anyone at the bottom of the list here. Captain Cruz. Hello to you, Captain Cruz. Let me scroll down. Just make sure I don't miss anyone. Reese. Hello, Reese. Reese is in there as well. He's dropped in there. Good to see you in there, Reese, this evening. David M. Hello, David M. Good to see you in there. And Sturman's in there as well. For those of you who follow our social media page on Facebook will know that I put the video there, the link to the video of Sturman's Tiger Moth flight, which he had, which me and Matt were very lucky because we got to see that Saturday, which was really good. And welcome to everyone who's joined us tonight for the show. Don't forget, if you're listening to our Voices on an Audio podcast, we do a video show live every Wednesday here on YouTube at 7 o'clock. And if you want to join us, don't forget, look for us on YouTube. Just search for Plane Talking UK. Subscribe and click the bell icon to be notified when we're live and broadcasting like we are now. And you can join us in the chat room because we'd love to see you in there. Right, we've got loads to get through tonight on the show, including a very, very interesting caption for this week. And also this week's Retro Airline Ad of the Week is starring a very, very famous actor who some of you might recognize.
Ooh, that's exciting.
Commercial news time. Matt, all the team, I'll be ready.
Yeah, let's go.
The captain has turned on the seatbelt light. Please take your seats and fasten your seatbelts.
So the first story this week, and this kind of shocks me because normally this would be a Matt story in number 2 spot, but breaking with tradition and having a Ryanair story at the top of the show, it's come from bbc.co.uk. Ryanair slashes summer fares as profits slide. So Ryanair has said it's cutting its summer fares after profits at the no-frills airline fell by almost 50%. The company said cost-conscious passengers were cutting back, while the timing of the Easter holidays had also hit profits before tax, which slumped to €401 million, or £338 million, in the 3 months to 30th of June when compared with a year ago. Average passenger fares fell by 15% in the period, and the carrier said it would have to offer more discounting in the coming months. Fares are now moving materially lower than prior year, and pricing continues to deteriorate. Its boss, Michael O'Leary, said in a presentation announcing its latest results. Shares in Ryanair and other airlines fell sharply as experts questioned whether the wider sector would be affected by customers' budgets being squeezed during the peak summer travel period. Ryanair said it's now expecting fares between July and September to be materially lower than last year, rather than flat to modestly up as previously expected. The typical Ryanair fare in June stood at just €41.93 in June, down from €49.07 the year before. Chief Financial Officer Neil Soran said he thought that consumers were simply being a little bit more frugal, a bit more cautious with their money. He added that after 2 years of growth in travel demand, there's a bit of pushback. Despite the slide in profits, Ryanair's numbers increased slightly over the period, limiting its fall in overall revenue to just 1%. However, the weak results may suggest that a post-pandemic boom in pricing enjoyed by the airlines could be coming to an end, with other carriers having recently warned over falling ticket prices. Ryanair said on Monday that its performance over the rest of the summer is totally dependent on more last-minute bookings, and those in August and September in particular. Customers are typically wanting longer than usual to book summer holidays, which is thought to be partially a result of the ongoing effects of the cost of living crisis. Earlier in July, Jet2 said they would only be modest price increases this summer amid a wave of later bookings to its European destinations. Lufthansa also pointed to negative market trends, while Air France KLM warned of a financial hit after fewer people than expected booked flights to Paris in forthcoming Olympic Games. In the early morning trade in London on Monday, Ryanair's share price was down 12.5%, while that of its rival carriers such as EasyJet fell 6.51%, and Wizz Air dropping by 6.56%. Now, in that story, they're talking about the fare prices coming down, and obviously school holidays, as Nick will know, is not the best time to plan to fly anywhere if you have children, especially on holiday. Now, there's a music festival going on in Malta in September. I know, Malta, second home virtually. But I looked online to see whether we could have a little cheap trip out long weekend to fly out on a Friday and come back on a Sunday with Ryanair. And I was absolutely shocked by the price that came back from Ryanair. Now, I don't know when the school holidays are. Nick will know this one. But this was towards the end of September, the last week of September. And the price I got return flights from Stansted were, are you ready, Matt?
Yes.
£923.
What?
Oof. Wow.
Now, I mean, that was with a carry-on.
Wow. Did you get your own aircraft for that?
Whether I picked the wrong date to want to fly to
Malta,
I don't know.
Did that coincide with the music festival?
Well, yeah, it was over that course of that weekend, so whether that was why...
Yeah, but 900 quid? Blimey.
I've never seen a fare like that with Ryanair.
Not with Ryanair, no.
Because I thought I didn't put something wrong, so I went back and double-checked, and it was right.
Well, and then it went up even more because there were now two people looking at those prices.
But no, I was shocked. Whereas you compare that to a flight over to Dublin with Ryanair, which I looked at for August. I was going to go over there to see Alan, our friend Alan White, for a little visit. And it was 43 quid.
Yeah, a bit more like it. Yeah.
Blimey. That's a bit more like it, yeah.
But I don't know whether the end of September, I don't know whether that's the kids' school holidays or not.
No, so the kids will go back right at the beginning of September, but then a lot of people that don't have kids or their kids are older will choose to obviously go on holiday
in September,
once the kids have gone back to school. So yeah, in some ways, actually, sort of late September and early October can still be quite considered as sort of almost peak time.
Yeah, definitely. Yeah. Captain Cruz is saying I wouldn't pay £936 for a flight to the US. He does have a point.
No, I wouldn't even pay that much.
No, indeed.
It does prove a point, though, that if you look at different times during the course of the year, regardless of whether it's a kid's holidays, the flight prices do dramatically change.
They do. No, they really do.
Dramatically change. But anyway.
I did find this story quite shocking, though, actually.
What's that, Nick?
Given that, you know, Ryanair, for all the sort of stick that they get, and everybody likes to sort of, you know, mock them a little bit, and you know, they do get a bit of a hard time for having a bit of a bad reputation in some ways for their customer service or lack thereof. But you know, at the end of the day, they do offer a very competitive product.
Normally, yeah.
But is it worrying that Ryanair have, you know, they're sort of starting to see people sort of feeling the pinch a little bit?
I don't think that's it at all, actually. I think, because I mean, they used to do like low cost fares. I mean, they were famous for doing low cost fares. I remember going with Owen to Toulouse, and our tickets were £20 each way.
Yeah.
You know, and admittedly that was before COVID and all that kind of thing. I think it was it 2016, 2018, before he moved away. But yeah, it must have been 2018. And £20 each way, that's utterly ridiculous. And I think, for me personally, I think it's more a sign that aviation in general has sort of more or less returned perhaps to sort of pre-pandemic levels, and actually things there are, you know, if you like, the deals and stuff are now appealing because it's worth it to them, and you know, they're using it as a way of sort of putting bums on seats on flights where they haven't sold as many tickets as they'd have liked, in the same way they would have done, you know, pre-pandemic. That would be my take on it.
Yeah, I mean, it's certainly, I kind of get the feeling that a lot of the sort of the bigger carriers, or, well, I say bigger carriers, Ryanair's the biggest carrier in Europe, isn't it?
Yeah.
But I think, you know, what we might refer to as the sort of the big legacy carriers are maybe back to or even exceeding pre-pandemic levels in terms of not only demand, but the amount of seats that they're filling on aircraft.
Yeah.
So it would seem now as though we've kind of reached the point where everybody's firmly back into traveling by air, and actually airlines are now in a position where they can almost start to charge a bit more of a premium.
Yeah, no, that is very true. I agree with you on that one.
Yeah, it does always pay to do a little bit of searching.
Yeah, it does.
Yeah.
You know, when you're looking at flights.
Okay.
So there we go. Right, moving on. Next one, Matt, you've got the story, and moving over to China for this one.
Yes, well, yes and no for this, but aerotime.aero is the source for this. And the headline is Virgin Atlantic to suspend flights from mainland China. Virgin Atlantic has announced that it will terminate its only route to mainland China at the end of the summer 2024 season, marking the end of a 25-year service. The carrier will cancel its only route linking London Heathrow and Shanghai International, with the last flight taking off on the 25th of October 2024. The route is currently operated using a Boeing 787-9 aircraft. Significant challenges and complexities on this route have contributed to the commercial decision to suspend flying to Shanghai, a spokesperson for Virgin Atlantic told Bloomberg. Virgin Atlantic cited operational costs and geological tensions, particularly not being able to fly over Russia, as the main reasons for dropping the route. After the Russian invasion, the European Council, the EC, enforced sanctions on Russia, banning Russian carriers from accessing airports in the United States and prohibiting them from flying over European Union airspace. Flights from London to Shanghai have increased by 1 hour while the return journey approximately takes an additional 2 hours. The carrier said the change requires additional aircraft and crew time, resulting in increased operational costs. Meanwhile, Chinese airlines continue to use Russian airspace to gain a competitive advantage on European and Asia routes. Virgin Atlantic signed a code-share agreement with China Eastern back in January 2024, which allowed travellers to easily access services between the United Kingdom and East Asia, linking London Heathrow and Shanghai International.
I don't think this will affect our ability the people's ability to get to China, because obviously there are a lot of big mainline carriers who still fly from the UK to China.
Yes, and some, and the Chinese carriers are still able to
fly into the UK,
fly into the UK on the shorter route. So obviously their offerings are certainly at the moment going to be more cost effective, aren't they? At the end of the day, and if there's a code share in place with Virgin Atlantic, or with Virgin Atlantic and China Eastern already, then that's the solution, isn't it?
Do we know how that code share works in terms of there being a kind of reciprocal business agreement in place in terms of what's in it for Virgin Atlantic, essentially? Because obviously it means that people can book through Virgin to get a flight, but obviously they're not flying on a Virgin aircraft. So I'm sort of just wondering how that works in terms of what revenue that Virgin would actually see from that if they're sort of selling a flight that's operated by somebody else. I don't know how that works. It's almost like we need somebody from the airline industry to come and explain it to us.
Yes, we do, yeah.
Andy?
I know.
Yeah.
And Nick, you've got the next one, and sticking kind of with Dreamliners with this one, with the BA boys.
Yeah, so it was actually Andy came across this one, funnily enough, while he was on his holidays, bless him. He was obviously a bit bored. So it's from the GE Aerospace website, actually. It was a press release. British Airways orders first Gen X engines for new 787 Dreamliners. And this came at Farnborough Air Show, that's obviously been on this week. So GE Aerospace announced today that International Airlines Group, IAG, has committed to purchasing, what are we calling it, Gen X or GEnx engines, to power 6 new 787 Dreamliners for British Airways, the first introduction of this new engine into their fleet. British Airways was the launch customer for the highly successful GE90 engine, and bringing the GEnx into the 787 fleet represents another important milestone in our relationship, said Russell Stokes, President and CEO of the Commercial Engines and Services GE Aerospace. The GEnx 1B powers 2 out of every 3 787 aircraft in service. The engine also provides a 1.4% fuel burn saving for the typical 787 mission compared to its competition. Like all GE Aerospace engines, the GEnx can operate on approved sustainable aviation fuel. And the engine is performing well with millions of reliable flight hours under wing and proven fuel efficiency and economics, IAG said. This selection by IAG and British Airways affirms the confidence we have in the GEnx engine and the 787 aircraft combination. The GEnx engine family has more than 56 million flight hours. Wow, 56 million.
It's a big number, isn't it?
It's too big. Since entry into service in 2011. And this is the fastest selling high thrust engine in the GE Aerospace history, with nearly 3,000 engines in service and on backlog, including spares. And British Airways currently operates aircraft powered by GE Aerospace's GE90, CF37 and LEAP engines. Anyone that's been keeping an eye on the aviation news this week will have seen that there's been an absolute ton of a real flurry of orders. And I know that, the likes of Boeing and Airbus love to save all these things up and make big announcements, and it's very prestigious. But goodness me, it does seem as though there have been an awful lot of orders for new aircraft this week. And it kind of got me thinking. I heard some stat last week that was something like, I think Boeing have got somewhere in the region of a backlog of 8,000 aircraft, and Airbus have got in excess of 5,000. Those are backlog orders that they're working through. And that, to me, just seems to be an absolutely staggering number of aircraft. And I'm kind of wondering whether or not this growth is sustainable and how long is it going to go on for?
Just looking at the 777X, the one with the folding wingtips, Nick.
Yep, very nice.
And obviously the General Electric are designing the GE9X to power that aircraft. They come in at a cost of $42 million each.
Okay.
For an engine.
That's going to be expensive on your TriStar.
Yeah. But it shows you that the price of engines is, I mean, you may forget about the price of the actual aircraft itself.
I think it's the last day of Farnborough tomorrow. If we're all going to be popping along, what aircraft do you think we might be ordering?
Ooh.
I've got my eye on one of the new Airbus A321 XLRs.
I suppose if you're looking for range, then that would be a good call.
Yeah.
I need the ability to carry lots of beers, so the 777X for me.
Okay.
I'd want to go back to when we were last there, actually, with the A220, because that was a particularly special aircraft, wasn't it? And it certainly seems to be getting some decent traction now, doesn't it, in terms of orders, and those who have got it seem to really like it as an aircraft.
They are really cool. Yeah.
Well, and you and Nev, I think, got an exclusive guided tour on it, didn't you, while you were there? Was it the A220?
That was Nev and Al.
Oh, Nev and Al, my apologies. Yeah, absolutely.
Yeah. So, moving on to the next one. From a website we all know and love, paddleyourown.canoe.com. I just love the name of that website. Korean Air says it will wrap up cabin service earlier over rising turbulence fears. So we've obviously had a few stories in the past, haven't we, guys, with people getting injured during turbulence issues on flights. Korean Air have said this week it's changing its in-flight service protocols over rising turbulence fears following a slew of high-profile incidents, including the fatal turbulence incident that struck the Singapore Airlines flight that we covered back in May. Up until now, Korean Air used to continue cabin service up to 20 minutes before landing, but the Seoul-based carrier is now going to double the amount of time from landing that no service takes place in an attempt to reduce turbulence-related injuries. As of July the 1st, Korean Air flight attendants have been instructed to stop cabin service 40 minutes before landing. The idea is to wrap up the cabin service, which would involve carts being out in the cabin and flight attendants serving hot drinks before long-haul aircrafts begin their descent for landing. Although the recent turbulent incidents have occurred at high altitude, research by the US National Transportation Safety Board, the NTSB, in 2021 revealed that a majority of turbulence incidents occurred during the descent phase of flight. In fact, according to the NTSB, the descent and approach accounted for just over half of all turbulence-related accidents and nearly 50% of serious injuries, including broken ankles and legs from flight attendants falling in the aisles. Interestingly, turbulence-related incidents were more likely to occur just after an aircraft begins its descent, suggesting that its finishing cabin service before the plane starts to descend would be a crucial step in reducing turbulence-related injuries. Turbulence is becoming more frequent, as we all know on the show, especially as the aircraft ascends due to large temperature differences between altitudes, a spokesperson for Korean Air explained in a statement. This is why Korean Air cabin services will now end before the aircraft begins its descent. Korean Air warned the number of turbulence-related incidents the carrier has had has doubled since 2019, and the carrier has urged passengers to keep their seatbelts fastened at all times, even when the seatbelt sign is switched off due to the risk of clear air turbulence. Following the Singapore Airlines tragedy, the airline quickly changed its own protocol services, telling flight attendants to suspend cabin services and to sit in their jump seats whenever the seatbelt sign is switched on. Previously, Singapore Airlines allowed cabin crew to continue services, during mild turbulence, with the exception that hot drinks could no longer be served. Ryanair said, however, it's still evaluating whether further changes are needed to be made to its onboard service procedures, and they consider this from the point of view of safety in the workplace. Could we get to a stage whereby CAVI, whatever the hell that means, there we go. Anyway, it's a story we've covered quite a few times in the last few months with the turbulence issues and stuff on aircraft. And I'm pretty sure that most of our listeners probably follow or check in every now and again with Simon's great website, the Aviation Herald. And there tends to be a few on there, at least during the course of a week, of turbulence-related incidents, which don't result in injuries, so don't make it to the national mainstream media, but they still happen on board flights. But yeah, I think it's a good idea, especially for obviously not just the passengers, but also the crew as well, because, you know, we need to protect those guys and girls as well from what could happen. Nick?
Well, yeah, I mean, I'm thinking about this from a point of view of if you're running a business and you're responsible for the duty of care to your staff, could we end up getting to a point where the cabin crew could actually end up having to wear some sort of PPE? You know, I'm literally thinking, could we get to a stage where they might have to wear a kind of a safety helmet, or even some sort of, you know, imagine having a harness that runs in a little track that goes along the cabin walkway.
Oh, my word.
To, you know, literally prevent you getting flung into the air. You know, is at the end of the day, you've got to protect people's safety, and you want to be able to do the best that you can for somebody in the workplace. And, you know, when I've done jobs in the past where I've done some working at height, working on wind turbines, and obviously you have to go through a quite rigorous training and accreditation in order to be able to work at height. And obviously you have to wear, you know, a climbing helmet and a special harness and be trained in how to put it on and obviously how to use it. And obviously that's, you know, that's designed because you don't want to be falling off a wind turbine. Obviously you do all you can to mitigate not falling off the wind turbine, but equally, you know, in a situation where this turbulence does and can occur unexpectedly, could it be said that the airlines may end up in a situation where they're almost forced into having to do more to protect their employees?
Possibly.
Well, I mean, I'd never say that the hard hat idea would ever happen. I wouldn't have thought.
I think there'd be a lot of pushback from it, wouldn't there? From you know, the point of view of it just kind of almost would put people on edge, wouldn't it? In terms of, oh goodness me, I'm getting onto this aeroplane, and the fact that the staff on board are wearing safety gear, it kind of immediately puts you in mind of being in a dangerous place. But then equally, you know, if we're starting to see this sort of thing happen more and more, is it something that might happen?
Dirk's got an interesting comment in the chat room, Matt.
Yeah, he's saying they could add magnetic wheels to the carts and build metal rails into the floor so that the carts stay put. Yeah, that's a good point, isn't it?
It's not a bad idea.
Indeed. I mean, are there reasons that that wouldn't work? I mean, would they be difficult to get in and out of the tracks, for example, because they've got a park somewhere?
You could have a release on them so that you have a kind of like a dead man's handle, a bit like you have on a lawnmower, whereby when you release it, the magnet locks on and locks the thing in place, and then you pull the handle and that allows it to be moved around. And that would actually work very well, and it would be very, very easy to implement.
Yeah, I think you're right there.
Good idea, Dirk. Get that one patented immediately.
I'll weigh to the dangers. I don't.
Oh dear.
Oh, Mr. Adams. Oh dear.
It's not captioned this yet, Richard.
No.
We were getting a bit too serious, to be fair. So it was good of the chat room to lighten the mood a little bit.
Yes, back to normal, everyone. Yeah.
Nick, story next for you. closer to about an hour and a bit from where me and Matt are here.
Yep, nice and local for you guys, not so much for me, sadly. So this is from flyer.co.uk, and the headline is Next Gen Aviation Centre announced for Duxford. A major new centre for next-gen sustainable air transport is planned for Duxford Airfield, Duxford AvTech. The plan comes from Imperial War Museums and Gonville and Caius College, Cambridge. And they say Duxford AvTech will be the UK's new home for research and development, prototype testing, certification and manufacture of new low and zero carbon aircraft technology. Duxford AvTech is a 45,000 square metre development on land adjacent to the existing Imperial War Museum site, and will be an aviation innovation cluster, as they're calling it, focusing on low and zero carbon advanced air mobility technologies. This includes the development of electric, hydrogen and hybrid powered aircraft, alternative power sources, new materials and associated technologies and services to shape the next generation of air transport. In addition, the Cambridge University recently announced a new Whittle laboratory to operate at the boundary of new science and emerging technologies in zero carbon aviation. That's expected to open in early 2026. Professor Rob Miller, a fellow of Gonville and Caius College, Cambridge, and director of the Whittle Laboratory at the University of Cambridge, said, "Achieving an aviation sector with no climate impact is one of society's biggest challenges." Agreed. Solving it will require a complex combination of technology, business, and policy. Duxford AvTech and its close proximity to the research taking place at the Whittle Laboratory in Cambridge offers an exceptional opportunity to bring together the best minds and skills to meet these challenges. Duxford AvTech will be located on the west side of the Imperial War Museum at Duxford, away from the historic centre of the site, on land owned by the Imperial War Museum and Gonville and Caius College. The existing museum and airfield site is not part of the new development and will continue to operate as normal.
Tell you what, if you're going to do anything like this to do with, new aviation, Duxford, I think, is probably one of the best places you could ever think of doing something like this here in the UK, with the heritage and the history that's behind the airfield.
But not only that, obviously the proximity with Cambridge as well. You've got a tremendous amount of brain power, for want of a better word, and the ability to be able to tap into that and provide somewhere to have an outlet for all of that research and development. I think it's a really exciting project. So yeah, I look forward to seeing what happens with that.
Yeah, it is a very nice site, and there's most of the people will know, including Matt as well. There is a lot of area around Duxford. The actual site itself. There's a lot of fields and kind of industrial space, isn't there, Matt, on the opposite side?
Oh, there is. I mean, it's a massive site, isn't it?
Yeah.
Richard E. Flag is saying pretty sure Cranfield are already ahead of Duxford with their next 10 flight.
Possibly, yeah.
Could well be.
Yeah. Lee Davis in the chat room saying, "Have I tried the 747 top deck flight sim up in Manchester?" No, I haven't actually. I've seen it advertised many times on social media, but I've never seen that yet. But yeah, on the list, it's on my list. Don't panic. But yeah, don't forget we'll be back at Duxford actually in September. More news on that later for our meetup again this year.
Indeed.
Right, moving on to the next story, and Matt, you've got this. This is rather interesting, I think.
Okay, yeah.
If not a slightly interesting,
different, I think is another word for it. Flightglobal.com is the site for this one. Wind Racers starts ultra cargo drone trials in Orkney. So UK drone developer and operator Wind Racers has begun trials of its ultra autonomous cargo platform on flights linking several of the Orkney Isles off the north coast of Scotland. Scheduled to run for 90 days, the tests will link the islands of Idé, Westray and North Ronaldsay, potentially offering a more reliable delivery service to residents. Orkney trial will run for 90 days and has involved a collaboration with the CAA. Wind Racers will integrate its flight schedule with the existing logistics network for Orkney, including Aberdeen headquartered Highlands and Islands specialist Streamline Shipping Group. In addition, the pair will collaborate later this year on a separate project to link Orkney and the more northerly Shetland Islands. The Ultra will operate in segregated airspace with the Civil Aviation Authority, allowing it to fly autonomously within several temporary danger areas for a 90-day period. In the longer term, the company is looking towards non-segregated operations with the establishment of transponder mandatory zones, designated volumes of airspace requiring aircraft to be fitted with a Mode S transponder, which would enable the system to see and be seen by other air traffic, says Wind Racers. We're delighted to have secured regulatory approval to operate our low-cost platform in UK airspace for this scheduled service trial, says Simon Mudarak, Wind Racers chief executive. We have worked exclusively with the CAA and we see a clear pathway to operating a full commercial service in Orkney. The trial is part of the Sustainable Aviation Test Environment programme and is part funded by the UK Research and Innovation Future Flight Challenge programme. Wind Racers in 2021 ran previous drone delivery trials in Orkney in partnership with the Royal Mail, featuring a 10-metre, that's a 32-foot wingspan. The Twin Boom Ultra can carry a 100 kilogram, that's 220 pound payload up to 540 nautical miles or 1,000 kilometers, and is able to take off, fly and land without the need of a remote pilot thanks to its autonomous flight control system. Interesting stuff.
It's an interesting looking vehicle. There's no doubt about that. I know you've got the pictures there on the story there, actually, Matt, but yeah.
So we ran a story about this one a couple of months back, where they were actually doing some flying down in Antarctica as part of some survey flying. But certainly the Wind Racers, I know that they've also been exhibiting at Farnborough this week. And yeah, I've got to say, I've also got a friend who works in the sort of technology industry who's been to visit them. They're based down near Southampton, and he said that they have a very, very impressive facility. And yeah, I think we're going to be seeing a lot more from these guys over the coming years. So yeah, it's really interesting to see what they're doing. I think I've got to say, for these types of services for the Scottish Islands, it almost seems like a bit of a no-brainer, really, to be able to provide this type of service where you're not having to rely on, you know, shipping stuff over the sea, for example. And, you know, it's quite an impressive 100 kilograms with a 540 nautical mile range. I mean, presumably that would mean you might be able to sacrifice some of that range and carry a bit more payload. In which case, you know, if you had the ability to carry, say, 200 kilos, you know, that's, you know, it starts to become pretty compelling, really, for doing regular supply drops for sort of outlying islands. I think it's really, really cool, really interesting.
As Amazon haven't jumped in and, you know, tried to either copy or buy this idea and use it for their...
I reckon it might be too big for Amazon, actually, because they're more interested in that kind of final mile delivery, aren't they?
Yeah. Still a good idea, though. Very good idea. And a lovely part of the country as well. It's not
very much so, yeah.
Next story comes to us from news.delta.com. And this goes very well with our Caption This picture this week, for those of you who have seen it on our Facebook page. Anyway, as some of you may be aware, there was a little IT outage recently, with the results being quite far-reaching and potentially quite serious. I know. From self-serve checkouts to airline check-in services, an awful lot of people were affected right across the globe. One of the worst hit appeared to be Delta, with some issues being seemingly lingering on. However, CEO was quick to address the problem with this statement. Like many companies worldwide, Delta was impacted on Friday morning with an outside vendor technology issue, which prompted us to pause flying while our systems were offline. Unfortunately, Matt Smith wasn't available to give us help with our... Oh, no, sorry, I said a different part of the story. The pause in our operation resulted in more than 3,500 Delta and Delta Connection flights cancelled through Saturday. Cancellations continued Sunday as Delta's team worked to recover the systems and restore our operation. Cancelling a flight is always the last resort and something we don't take lightly, they said. The technology issue occurred on the busiest travel weekend of the summer. Well, it always does, doesn't it? Honestly, with our booked loads exceeding 90%, limiting our reaccommodation capabilities. He said, I want to apologise, he said, to every one of you who's been affected by these events. Delta is in the business of connecting the world when we understand how difficult it can be when your travels are disrupted. Specifically, the issue impacted the Microsoft Windows operating system. Delta has a significant number of applications that use that system. In particular, one of our crew's tracking-related tools was affected and unable to effectively process the unprecedented number of changes triggered by the system shutdown. He said, our teams have been working around the clock to recover and fully restore functionality. He said, we have issued a travel waiver to enable you to make a change for your itinerary at no charge, always a good thing. He said, I encourage you to take advantage of that flexibility if possible. In addition, those whose flights have been impacted, we continue to offer meal vouchers. That might get you a bag of crisps and a bottle of water if you're lucky. Hotel accommodations and transportation where available. As a gesture of goodwill and apology, we're also providing, they said, impacted customers with Delta Sky Miles and travel vouchers. They said, but we continue to keep them informed via delta.com and the Fly Delta app for the latest information on their itinerary. He finished off with saying he wanted to thank Delta's employees who've been working tirelessly across the system to restore our best-in-class operation and take care of you during a very challenging situation. He ended with, thank you for your patience as we work through these issues, restore our operation and return to the reliability that you expect from Delta. There we go. It's a bit of a worry, Matt, isn't it? We seem to be getting a lot of these recently. Do you think things are getting too techy for everyone to cope?
No is the short answer, but I mean there is a reason why. For example, I know we've mentioned it before. Until not that long ago, they were still building rocket ships with the DX266 processor for no other reason than because it was tried, tested, and found to be reliable. You're always going to get tech issues when you develop on an existing platform. As you say, you mentioned the IT outage last Friday. That was a legitimate company patching a security flaw that had been identified within the operating system. And, in reality, essentially somebody put a square bracket the wrong way round or something, and that's it. Everything all falls over. So it doesn't take much to get these problems. I do think, of course, again, with aviation, we are very lucky because there is an awful lot of redundancy in their systems there. So if you do get a tech problem, it's rare that it's a major event if something goes wrong, because another backup service will take over in the event of a problem. So, I mean,
Matt, as somebody that works in customer services, have you ever come across situations where you might have some sort of kind of non-IT redundancy in the situation where a system might go down that sort of stops you working as you would do normally?
Yeah, I mean, the reality is that there are some things you just simply cannot do if your computer system goes down. I mean, if you can take the data, you continue. So all of our agents, if you like, have what we call the call center Bible, for want of a better word, and all the details, all of the scripts that they're normally reading on screen are printed out in their desk drawer should there be a problem that, you know, a service goes offline for a short period of time. So yeah, that can definitely work from that regard. But the end result is you simply cannot set up an insurance policy, as an example, until the computer says yes or no.
Yeah, and I guess in the example of an airline, you know, there are very strict regulations in terms of, you know, or insurance stipulations as well in terms of what you need to do in order to fly an airline service safely and reliably.
Indeed. And there are elements that you can do to sort of like buy you time, you know, if it's only a short problem, because you can have it where the connection has dropped briefly, but it will come back in about a minute, for example. Well, if you know, you can carry on reading your scripts or whatever, or you know, doing your in-flight checks using the paper-based system instead of the tablet if you have an outage. But I would argue that you do eventually reach a point where you can't continue any further until a key system is active.
Yeah.
Here we go. See, that's why we have a tech guru like you on the show, Matt. Actually, on that subject, did you? We didn't, luckily, on where I am. But when I ventured over your end of the estate this afternoon, Matt, I don't know whether you heard with your colleagues, there was a mass internet outage on your half of the estate this afternoon.
Oh, what's there? Oh, no, yes. I've been out the loop today, so...
you'll hear about it tomorrow,
Oh, will I? Oh, dear, yeah. I don't know, because our service comes in via a different route. We may have been okay because our site, because of the sheer volume of data that we need, you know, we're sort of fibre on steroids essentially that comes in. I did a speed test on our network when I first got there because I'm a nosy what's it, and it was eye watering. It was hundreds of gigs each way. So you know, I think we have a dedicated line which in many ways works. You know, and so unless the Dis's exchange fell over or something like that, then we were probably okay because we're on a different data set. But I'll find out all about it tomorrow, I'm sure.
I'll tell you what, before we move on, it does amaze me just how reliant we all are on such things as the internet. Because when I walked into our main office this afternoon, at the staff and the design engineers and stuff, everyone was just sitting at their desks, like. You know,
zombies because
there was no internet.
Yeah, absolutely.
But anyway, Nick, you've got the next one, and I love the look of this. I'm going to buy one of these this weekend.
Yes, this is a good reason why you should be watching the podcast on YouTube so that you can see the pictures of this one. I saw this article. And I was thinking, imagine you were in a situation where you'd been locked away in prison for 25 years, and then you had no sort of access to outside media, and then suddenly you were released back into the public again, and you saw a photograph of this vehicle, and you would literally think it's like something out of science fiction because it's just such a wild looking thing. It's I guess for audio listeners, essentially it's a very sort of sci-fi futuristic looking helicopter, albeit it's got 4 rotors and a V tail. It kind of looks like, I don't know, it looks like it should be in an Alien movie or something like that.
It looks like a weird drone to me.
No, I think it's really cool. I love it. So anyway, this one's from aerotime.aero, and the headline is Vertical Aerospace unveils new generation full-scale VX4 eVTOL prototype. Now, we keep seeing these eVTOL stories popping up, and they seem to be becoming a little bit more frequent and sort of hard to ignore, and there seems to be a lot of drive towards eVTOLs becoming a reality. So I do sort of keep slotting these stories into the podcast, just because I'm sort of interested to see where it all ends up. So, British eVTOL developer Vertical Aerospace unveiled a new full-scale VX4 prototype on July the 18th, and this aircraft's eye-catching white colour scheme, instead of Vertical's signature dark grey, is not the only novelty compared to the earlier Vertical Aerospace prototypes. The new aircraft, which will soon be ready to start flight testing, boasts a 20% increase in its power-to-weight ratio. This allows it to reach a speed of 150 miles an hour, and that is the cruise speed that Vertical Aerospace aims to certify the VX4 for. It's worth noting that that Vertical's industrial partners are increasing notably their share of work in the VX4 program as the aircraft gets closer to its certification stage. 60% of the latest VX4 prototype is made of elements manufactured by different external suppliers, which is a steep increase from the 10% of previous iterations of the model. Companies such as GKN Aerospace, Honeywell, Hanwha, Molicel, Leonardo, and Syensqo, never heard of them, are participating in the project to varying degrees. Two other key elements of the aircraft that are new to this iteration of the VX4 are the propeller and the battery pack. The new VX4 carbon fiber composite propellers have been optimized for low noise. They're manufactured through a single shot cure process, which, according to Vertical Aerospace, maximizes their integrity. The battery pack has been developed and manufactured in-house at the Vertical Energy Centre near Bristol in the UK. Vertical Aerospace has left behind the mishap which took place in August of last year when an earlier prototype crashed during an unmanned test flight at Cotswold Airport. Just a few days before presenting the new prototype, the UK's Civil Aviation Authority expanded Vertical Aerospace's design organisation approval, a decision that gets the British startup a step closer to starting its certification program. At the same time, Vertical Aerospace is also working on another identical prototype which will help it accelerate the certification flight test program. Yeah, interesting. So looking at the size of this, I mean, we've seen quite a few of these eVTOLs, which appear to be, currently there seems to be a bit of a market for the more sort of higher end prestigious carriers using them as a kind of transport between major city hubs and the airports themselves in order to perhaps avoid putting first class passengers in a limo, for example. They'll stick them on one of these, and so if you're flying from Manhattan to JFK, for example, they'll stick you on one of these and whiz you across in 5-10 minutes or whatever. So I guess what we're looking at here is something that is probably short range, maybe up to 50, maybe 100 miles at tops, perhaps capable of sort of, perhaps up to a dozen passengers. It's starting to look like a very viable aircraft, it has to be said.
It does look cool as well. Yeah, it's the sort of thing I could imagine Armando travelling to work in.
Actually, I was
just
incorrect.
Cool.
I've just spotted it, actually. It's not four rotors. It's actually got 8 rotors because there are 2 sets of 4 along a large wing. So it's got a sort of wing structure with rotors. So there's 2 on the leading edge of each wing and then 2 on the trailing edge of each wing. So yeah, it'd be interesting to see what the flight profile would be like on this. Because obviously vertical takeoff and landing, but then it would obviously transition into a sort of regular flight mode. So yeah, it's a really, really interesting looking aircraft.
Whatever way you look at it, it'd make mine and Matt's life so much easier getting around, especially around Dis on Victoria Road.
Yeah, well, yeah,
with the traffic.
Any device that sort of takes you 30 or 40 feet above, I think would probably do the required job, wouldn't it? But
very good. Now, the next story, Matt, you've got this is, I mean, the headline of this just amuses the hell out of me.
Indeed, it's the New Zealand Herald, nzherald.co.nz is the source for this one, and the headline is "Exploding drink cans are causing in-flight injuries due to soaring summer temperatures." Summer in the United States is seriously hot, and it's violently blowing up some soft drink cans. A bizarre threat caused airline officials, employees, and American travellers to be on alert last week after a series of incidents involving soft drinks cans injuring a number of flight attendants on Southwest Airlines flights. Southwest officials have confirmed with numerous news sources, including the Washington Post, the Independent, and the CBS News, that cans of carbonated drinks have been exploding in flight and have injured at least 20 flight attendants since the northern summer started. In an emailed statement sent to the Independent, an airline spokesperson said that we're aware of this issue and have been taking steps to keep onboard beverages cooler, especially in our airports experiencing extreme temperatures. Chris Perry, a Southwest spokesperson, also told the Washington Post that this is due to the intense heat temperatures in the area, specifically at Las Vegas in Nevada, Phoenix in Arizona, and a few Texas airports as well. Perry said that airports where we have a large presence, such as Las Vegas, Phoenix, and many in Texas, continue to receive record temperatures, with severe heat arriving earlier and persisting throughout the summer. For the safety of our employees and customers, we are taking education and mitigation measures on all heat-related hazards. For most airlines, beverages are usually stored in a refrigerated truck, but since Southwest Airlines don't serve meals or perishable goods, soft drinks are stored in airports and can be exposed to extreme temperatures. On a normal day, it might not be a problem, but due to the record-breaking hot temperatures over summer, the cans have been heating up, which causes their internal pressure to increase, and then they blow up once opened. Flight attendants are usually the ones to open the cans and serve passengers, which is why the incidences have mostly involved flight crew. Southwest Airlines has advised on-ground personnel and in-flight crews to be wary of these cans to ensure everyone's safety.
Do you know what? There must be some blooming high temperatures to get those cans to explode.
Yeah, definitely.
Because, I mean, I've never personally seen a drinks can explode.
No.
Unless I drop one on the garage floor when I'm trying to put them in the fridge.
Well,
in which case, you know, it's a terrible shame, especially when it's beer. But
a waste, dear, a waste.
Yeah, I mean, this must be carbonated soft drinks, isn't it? It's definitely carbonated soft drinks.
Yeah, I would imagine so.
Yeah.
Mind you, even still ones will still be susceptible to, you know, if the temperature increases significantly.
You know, the only thing I've ever known to blow up and expand in flight is my bag of crisps I take on board.
Yeah, true that.
But moving on to the next story, and BA, this one for Nev. British Airways, this is good news. This is a good news story. BA to put 200 aspiring pilots through training. Now, this is awesome news. BA has announced a £21 million investment to give up to 200 prospective pilots a chance to follow their dream of flying for a commercial airline without the worry of self-funding the £100,000 cost of training, opening the door to being a pilot to do more than ever before. So the Speedbird Pilot Academy aims to attract the very best talent for the future generation of pilots, while boosting social mobility and diversity within the airline's pilot community. The airline works with community groups to help encourage applicants from people who may have previously been put off from applying due to the cost. I think that is very true. Launched last year and open to applicants annually, the Academy is already training 100 future British Airways pilots who managed to beat off competition for more than 20,000 candidates to have the cost of their tuition paid for by the airline. Funding was in place for initial 100 places on the 2025 programme, which is now increased to 200. It takes 2 years to complete the training and become a qualified first officer with the airline, and BA currently employs around 4,000 pilots. So BA made the announcement during the airline's appearance at Farnborough International Air Show this week, where it has exhibited a brand new A320neo with the new interior. The aircraft flew into the show powered by more than 35% sustainable aviation fuel. Sean Doyle, BA's chairman and CEO, said he's incredibly proud of the Speedbird Pilot Academy and the opportunity it provides to those talented individuals who have held a lifetime ambition of becoming a commercial airline pilot, but have perhaps found it difficult to independently fund their training. The standard of applicants we see for the program are consistently high, so as part of our commitment to attracting the very best candidates from right across society, we've increased the 2025 cohort to give as many people as possible chance of realising their dream. Ryan Street, a Speedbird Academy pilot, Academy cadet from Stockport, had dreamed of a career in aviation since he was a young boy. He joined the Air Cadets at the age of 12, where he rose to the rank of cadet warrant officer. Before beginning work at Manchester Airport for a ground handling company, he held various roles, including a ramp loader, an aircraft dispatcher, and load controller before being selected for the Speedbird Pilot Academy. Ryan said applying for the Speedbird Pilot Academy and being selected for such a highly competitive opportunity was a dream come true, knowing that I would finally be able to achieve the career I'd always wanted. Without the assistance of BA provided with his cadetship, he said, I might not have even been able to afford the current training costs. So I'm thankful to them that they have been able to provide this wonderful opportunity for those who might never have been able to get this far. Melanie Odden, also a Speedbird Pilot Academy cadet from Hertfordshire, said she'd been fascinated by aviation since she was young and became a pilot as being a lifelong dream of hers, with the aspiration to one day become a training captain. Unfortunately, there have been many barriers preventing me from reaching these goals. She said, I started a different career path and have a young family with my little one now being 3 years old. When BA announced that they would be providing funded spaces for students on their Speedbird Academy, she had to apply. She said, I never thought I'd become one of the lucky few. I'm now 3 months into my training and it still doesn't feel quite real. It's hard work and trying to juggle family life with study that can be difficult, but I know it'll be worth it in the end. And I'm so grateful that BA is giving people a chance to realise their dreams without financial barriers. Now, my take on this, and I'm pretty sure that a few people are probably thinking this question, either in the chat room or our audio listeners who are listening to this show. They've paid your £100,000 or thereabouts for your training, but I wonder what BA put into your contract as a kind of caveat to your training, whether you have to stay with the airline for so many years before you can up sticks and move away. Because
I think
I'd be surprised if they're just going to pay for the whole lot and just say, yeah, that's fine. You can leave if you like when you finish and go.
I've certainly seen it with other airlines. There was one I looked at a couple of months ago where, yeah, depending on how soon after becoming qualified you left, you would have to pay a certain percentage, and that percentage reduced over time. And I think that there would normally be a commitment of around sort of 3 to 4 years. But then, frankly, given that that would also, on the other hand, imply a level of job security with a very prestigious airline, why would you want to leave?
True.
Unless there was you had some sort of life-changing event that meant that you could no longer perform your duty as a pilot. I would imagine that for most people, they would probably be very happy to think that they've got a career ahead of them with British Airways.
There's a couple of good comments in the chat room, Matt, there.
Alan White is saying most are a 10-year bond with the repayment decreasing each year, which kind of makes sense. Dirk S is saying, well, a mandatory stay would only be fair when the company is paid for your training, which again I agree with. EZ requires 5-year servitude. I think can't imagine BA will be any less, which is a good point there, I suppose. I mean, How much? I mean, I suppose they pay for your type rating, don't they? I think that's the.
Well, it's your whole training.
Well, it's not the whole training, though, is it? Most pilots have had to have done the bulk of their training before they. It's only really the type rating in my experience.
In this instance, they're basically taking you as a complete novice.
Oh, okay, cool.
Yeah,
okay.
So you could literally walk in off the street and
say, "I want to be a pilot."
Yep. Hi there. Sign me up.
Yeah. Absolutely.
I mean, even if it was 5 years, I mean, when you're I know it's hard. There are some aspects of the job that are hard, even when you are passed and are sitting in that right seat. But I mean, even 5 years, you've spent all that time and effort getting to that position. I think most people would kind of sit in that seat for 5 years at least, and before they ever thought of moving.
I should also imagine that the kind of the selection process probably tries to do a very good job of making sure that they're selecting the right people that are going to stick with it.
Yeah.
I can, having, it's a big investment for British Airways, isn't it? And I'm just personally, I think it's great for younger people that want to get into the industry that maybe don't want to go down the armed forces route. This is a fantastic opportunity. I would imagine that they're going to be very, very oversubscribed with applicants.
Yeah.
I think it wasn't that many episodes ago we did say on the show, didn't we? It's about time that someone or an airline within the UK done some kind of scholarship or something like this. So yeah, good on BA. Be interesting to see if any other airlines follow suit now.
Yeah, I was just going to make that point myself actually, and talking earlier about the sort of demand and backlog for new aircraft. Is this something that we're going to see? And there's been a lot of talk about a pilot shortage, hasn't there? So, maybe this is something that we might start to see from other airlines.
Well, we can only hope. Definitely. Right, that's where we're going to bring the commercial news segment to close for this week. Now, next up, it's time for one of the favourite parts of the show for quite a few people who watch the show live on YouTube every week. And it's our retro airline ad of the week. Now, make sure you watch this one because it'll be interesting to see how many people in the chat room can spot what particular actor is playing the part in this advert. But this week, we take a look at an advert for TWA, and those of you in the YouTube chat room may well recognise the famous actor playing what can only be described as quite the part. So let's have a look at TWA's Taste of Europe.
A taste of Europe's flying in the USA. Hey, when I'm in Europe, I'm happy. Right now I'm flying TWA over Pittsburgh, and I'm still happy, because the Trans-World Service give me the taste of Europe, flying in the USA. Thank you, baby. Lasagna al forno bolognese, just like a Europe. Bordeaux wine, just like a Europe. Fantastic desserts, just like a Europe. Sinful that Zabarione, and the romantic foreign films, just like a Europe. Scusi. Ask your travel agent to get you on a TWA. Trans-World Service, making me so homesick.
I mean, I'm officially lost for words, I'm not going to lie. Goodness me, Peter Sellers, my goodness.
Honestly,
where do you find these, Carlos? They're very good.
I go deep into the realms of YouTube to find these. But yeah, who would have thought Peter Sellers? I mean, I think we've all seen various programs with Peter Sellers in, or films, I should say, with Peter Sellers in. But yeah, I think in the chat room there was a few people who did. Mazouz spotted, I think, pretty much straight away there.
Guest says commercials were strange back then.
Yes, I know what
He's not wrong. Strange but quite amusing. But yeah, you can't help thinking that things have changed a bit now.
Yes. Thank goodness. That shirt and the gold chain, really typical of the time. Yes, I bet. Yeah. Apparently that was stylish.
It's good. It's good though. Honestly, adverts were so much better back then, and because we don't see that many airline adverts on our TVs now, really, do we? I mean, you look at it. There's not. Many.
Because they'd be outlawed now if they were like that.
But I'll tell you one thing that we haven't talked about this week on the show, but did appear on the news feeds 2 days ago and on YouTube. I think I sent the link to you guys in the group chat today, and it's BA's latest safety demonstration video. We haven't got it to play out on the show, but we might pop it on next week when Nev is back. But for those of you who may not have seen it, it is on YouTube to watch now. And have you guys had a chance to have a quick peruse of the ad?
No, I haven't. Not yet.
Not yet. No.
Well, it's one of them again.
Oh, is it?
Is this one that we have to save for Nev to be outraged about when he's back?
Yeah, I mean,
because nobody does it better. Let's be honest.
It's. I mean, the production values are incredible for what they've done, but again, it's moved away too far from what it should be, which is a safety video. But anyway, we might have a look at that next week on the show for those of you who may not have seen it. So yeah, right. It's time for Mr. Warner's favourite part of the show. And obviously, it's time for the military segment. So, Matt, if you are ready.
What's up, Buggies 135, 50, Angel 16, heading 340. Okay. 100 St. Buggies.
So this week's first one comes from twz.com, and I saw this one actually. I saw this on X, of all places. First, it's all of France's KC-135 tankers brought by private aerial refueling company Metria. Metria? I think that's how you spell it. Private aerospace firm Metria has made a major move to expand its contractor-owned and operated aerial refueling business with the purchase of 14 KC-135 tankers from French Air and Space Force. The company plans to have the first of these aircraft flying under its banner within weeks as it eyes major new opportunities within the US military and foreign armed forces. The French Air and Space Force transferred ownership of 11 KC-135 FR tankers to Metra on June the 26th, according to the company press release. Metra currently operates 4 KC-135Rs it previously acquired from the Republic of Singapore's Air Force, and the company is already in contract with the US Navy. The new acquisitions make Metra's tanker fleet by far the largest in private hands, and also now boasts of owning more aerial refueling aircraft than all but 4 air forces worldwide. Omega Air Refueling, the other major privately owned company in the market space, has 5 tankers, 2 KC-707s and 3 KDC-10s, 2 of which previously belonged to the Royal Dutch Air Force. Metra is appreciative of the efforts of the French Air and Space Force and the French government to facilitate the transaction and make the bold move to transfer the assets to a commercial provider, John Thomas, head of Metra's Air and Space Group, told The War Zone in an interview this week. The French KC-135s, which are currently at Nimes Air Force Base in the southern end of the country, will still require varying degrees of maintenance before Metria can put them into use. The company hopes to get the first one of these tankers back into service within between 30 and 45 days, and a second one flying again actively before the end of the year. The age of the French KC-135s, a design that has been out of production for decades and is in declining use worldwide, could raise questions about operating and sustainment complexities and costs. Metria sees other inherent benefits of using the proven tankers, which are configured to refuel any existing receiver aircraft via either the boom or probe and drogue methods. Metria's existing KC-135Rs have a mission reliability rate of 93%, which is pretty damn good. Since beginning execution of NavAir contract in the late 2021, according to the company's press release, the combined Metria aviation units have flown over 130,000 hours across multiple aircraft types, missions, and geographies. The company's work to date includes milestones like the first use of a contractor-owned and operated tanker to refuel an aircraft via boom, the first commercial aerial refueling of any U.S. Air Force aircraft, and the first ever use of a private tanker to refuel an Air Force tactical combat jets, the A-10 Warthogs, back in April and June and October of 2023, respectively. US military officials routinely complain about how shortages in tanker capacity and those demands would only grow sustainably heightened in the event of any future high conflict, especially one against China in the Pacific, as the war zone has highlighted for years now. Contract aerial refueling services, even just limited to supporting non-combat activities like routine movements, training exercises, and test evaluation efforts, present a clear way to help reduce strain on existing tanker fleets. Now, the story does go on. There's some great pictures with this story, but it does.
I decided to go with the one Mr. Warner sent me.
It does prove that is a very nice picture. That is very good. But it proves a point. His aircraft has stood the test of time, like the B-52, or not be as old as the B-52, but these aircraft are an old airframe based on the 707 from back in the day. But also, it wouldn't surprise you as well. I know that this company have brought, as I say, 14 of these, and it says about the issues with obviously them being an aging kind of fleet and obviously parts and stuff like that. But who's to say that, you know, they've brought 14, but they might keep one or two of these as a kind of spares, like cannibalize for spares to keep the rest of the fleet going. But yeah, an interesting story, and good to see it. Good to see that these old aircraft continuing use. Right, so next up, Nick, we are going to see the Blue Angels, aren't we?
Yes. Now, this is an interesting one. I think possibly a bit polarizing, and some interesting video to play out.
Where would I find that? Sorry.
Yeah, I don't
that's
know
on
that's,
X. Yeah, that's a job to try and get them off there.
Oh, okay, all right.
Yeah, it's a well, I call it Twitter, but you can call it X if you like. But yeah, so this one actually comes from simpleflying.com, and the headline is "Another Blue Angels close call with drones draws attention to safety practices at air shows." Rightly so. A drone operator has endangered the US Navy's Blue Angel formation team by placing their drone over them as they did their famous homecoming formation flypast down the Pensacola Beach in Florida. Aviation consultant Combat Learjet happened to screen capture from Facebook the drone video taken during a Blue Angels beach buzz, where the US Navy's Blue Angels formation team, on their return from an air show to Air Station Pensacola, flew down the beach, and yeah, there is a video for that on X, which I don't know if Matt, you might be able to pull that up, but essentially it shows.
No, it's not letting me, unfortunately.
Okay, it essentially shows the drone sort of stationary, hovering above the beach, and then you start to see the Blue Angels sort of almost a blur in the distance, and they come slowly towards, and then obviously get bigger and bigger and faster, and then disappear underneath the drone, probably, I don't know, I'm going to say within sort of what looks like maybe 15 or 20 feet. So a quick Google can have one land on the FAA webpage, and the Small Unmanned Aircraft Systems Regulations, Part 107. And the webpage states very clearly in the first two bullet points: always avoid manned aircraft. Good advice. Never operate in a careless or reckless manner. Also good advice. A review of the actual code, Title 14, Chapter 1, Subchapter F, Part 107, shows that no one may operate a small unmanned aircraft system in a careless or reckless manner so as to endanger the life or property of another. Sadly, this is not the first incident of drone versus airshow performers. For the first instance, there were some encounters with drones in 2020 during Operation America Strong, where the Blue Angels and the Thunderbirds were conducting flyovers of metro areas. Another incident was with a US Army Sikorsky Black Hawk, actually hit a DJI Phantom, causing a 1.5-inch dent on one of the blades, cracking the composite fairing and a portion of the window frame, and lodging several components of the drone into the helicopter. The drone in question was attempting to automatically return to its takeoff spot as the operator had lost sight. The accident also happened because the operator did not check for the latest airspace data nor use the latest FAA apps to prevent airspace violations. Finally, there was an incident earlier this year in Germany between a Eurofighter Typhoon and a drone. The Eurofighter was thankfully not seriously damaged.
Yeah.
A growing anti-drone industry is working to neutralize the real threat drones pose to air shows. Some of these tools are being used at air shows. One should note companies like Drone Shield, an Australian-US company, Europe's Bravo Zulu, and Canada's Blue Force UAV are rising to meet the need to jam drones that can pose a threat to air shows, airports, and other public gatherings. As these firms have technology that can pinpoint a drone pilot's location, the need to force down a drone is rare, but the capability to jam the link between the drone and the drone pilot is there. So there was actually some research done by the University of Dayton Research Institute in 2018. They've actually got a YouTube video which shows, there we go, you managed to get the video. So we can see there, you kind of got a bit of a blur in the background, and then all of a sudden you can see that it's the formation team. Actually looks to me like there's another aircraft off to the side, and then the aircraft then go right below the drone.
I mean, I'd argue it's not that close.
No, it wasn't that close, was it? To be fair, I mean, it's it's quite. I mean, it's quite a cool shot.
It is, but I mean, was this done with permission though, or was it not?
I suspect not.
And that's the issue, isn't it? That's the problem with the thing is it shouldn't have been there, because if they'd have changed their course I mean, there could be any reason why they need to change their flight line or their height or anything at all.
Yep, that's true.
You wouldn't have, and they wouldn't have seen that drone until it was way too late.
Well, and also, how would the drone operator know what altitude they were expecting to fly at?
Exactly. So a very, very risky thing. It just outrageous.
I'm actually, I've got to say, I'm really surprised, because I know certainly here in the UK and within Europe, regulations are very strict. I know we had some instances at Gatwick where there were sort of drone operations that closed down flight for a time. But I don't know, it feels to me like certainly here in the UK, the penalties could be pretty draconian.
Yeah, exactly.
And I don't know, I just feel like maybe people just wouldn't be stupid enough to do something like this. I'm not suggesting that people
you realise
on the other side.
You realise what will happen now is that next week we'll have a story covering exactly that.
Yeah. I'm making a big assumption there about stupidity, because stupidity can occur anywhere in the world, and absolutely. It's certainly not something. No. But what I'm a little bit surprised about is, what are the regulations regarding flight restrictions of these types of devices around airfields and aerodromes, but also what are the regulations regarding any temporary restrictions that might occur at air displays. And if all of those fail and people fly them anyway, is there the possibility, and this is a bit of an IT question for you, Matt, whereby there could be a kind of an industry-wide system where it might be possible to kind of geofence these devices from actually operating at all at certain places?
There is an element of that already there, isn't there? But in reality, those people who are likely to be not following the regulations are likely also to have the ability to turn off the geo-blocking, essentially, that would do it. So,
right, okay,
you know, there are sort of, you know, issues across the board, really, with that. I mean, the technology already exists to do that, but you know,
but I guess the problem is that the barrier of entry is quite low. You know, these things are relatively affordable.
Yeah, absolutely.
And in a way, I'm actually surprised that we haven't had more stories of stuff like this happening because, you know, they are very accessible.
Yeah, they definitely are.
So, yeah, it does seem surprising to me in a way.
Agreed.
Right.
So we've got one more story. Yeah, I'm not sure who's going to take this one, but it terrified me a little bit.
Yeah, this one comes from the BBC.co.uk. And what will future aerial dogfights look like? Well, hopefully like they do now. BAE Systems have been working on an AI co-pilot that could save real-life aviators in a dogfight, and it may soon find its way into sophisticated war-fighting simulators. One of the engineers, Emily Sadildirian, is studying at Cranfield University in the UK, which has strong aerospace links. He describes how the AI co-pilot picked up fighting tactics by a process of trial and error. One of his objectives is to address the information overload fighter pilots endure. His colleague, Melvin Uzan, assures me that AI takes a lot of learning to beat humans. The AI made millions of mistakes, he said. Teaching it is like guiding a child. But once trained, the AI can offer valuable advice, according to Mr. Uzan. The AI can tell a pilot to slow down or to speed up, and it can evaluate an emergency dogfight and warn of a 70% probability the pilot will lose if they get into that fight. So the AI warns pilots of situations likely to end in their jet being shot down and takes that decision in milliseconds, but the design team aren't making any big claims about replacing a pilot. It's just like a piece of code that you could run on your phone, says Mr. Uzun. Today, their program is running off a normal laptop PC. Hopefully not the same one that's running the airport's ITs. No. The US Air Force revealed its own rather more elaborate AI dogfighter in 2023. It was demonstrated flying an F-16 jet in combat maneuvers. I remember we covered that, I think, on the show. This flight was a combination of years of work aimed at creating an AI that could beat a living pilot. 8 US AI companies went head-to-head in 2020 during a 3-day competition known as the Alpha Dogfight Trials event. This involves simulating online dogfights between the competing AI programs and an experienced US Air Force fighter pilot. The winning program beat the pilot repeatedly, and Brett Darcy of US Defense Shop's Shield AI was on the 3-strong team that built it. He remembers the Alpha Dogfight event vividly, he said. The competitors range from the big boys like Lockheed Martin down to us, he said. The AI had learned to reject rules when it could spot a better move, and points were awarded with each combat. And the AI evolving to match successful outcomes, multiple copies of the AI were generated by the evolution as the competing AI pilots measured up each other's changing tactics. I mean, the story goes on, but Jesus, let's have some real pilots in the seats, It's good as a simulation, I think, as a training simulator to have, obviously like an AI pilot in a training sim kind of situation. But, I think like us all, we much prefer having someone sitting up the front doing all the flying stuff.
Yeah, very much so.
Wouldn't you say? Especially when it comes to aircraft that are carrying weapons.
You have seen the Terminator movies, Carl.
Yeah, I know.
It does terrify me, and I'm sure a lot of other people that AI has the potential to overtake us very quickly and easily should we allow it to get out of hand. And it's interesting to see how this is developing, and that actually it could, there could actually be some sort of safety implications that could be beneficial for commercial flying, I think. But yeah, the fact that we're kind of using AI on weaponized air vehicles is
worrying,
slightly terrifying, shall we say.
Yes. Now it's time for the part of the show where we talk about all things Caption This. It's our Caption This photo of the week, and this week's picture definitely stirred some interest, I think, from our PTUK viewers and listeners. So we are going to start off things. So Matt, if you've got the picture there to pop up on the screen. Now this is very fitting with the current news that we've had in the in the aviation industry this week. So kicking off then, first one, and this is with Alan White. Says the pilots who learned to fly 1950s era Cessna 150s continued their approach without issue, while the glass cockpit generation entered into a hole.
Indeed. The other suggestion from Steve Tiers, from Jean-Luc Picard, wonder if it's that one, was to turn off to turn off and reboot, essentially.
Control-Alt-Delete.
Control-Alt-Delete, yeah, absolutely. Yeah. Which is incidentally what I did with my car to fix my radio. I literally turned the car off and on again. I disconnected the back. I have literally torn my car apart this last 2 weeks to try and solve the fact that there was power there apart from when you turned the ignition on, and when you did that, the radio did nothing. And then I Googled it, and it said, basically turning the car on and off again, and it blooming well worked. I couldn't believe it. I was so cross. Anyway, slightly off topic.
Yeah. Now, Nick, what's
so Steve Tyers says keep the blue side up. I don't see any problem here.
That's true. Our lovely local listener Mazouz says you can always go around. I've got that song in my head now. Oh no, maybe this time you can't.
Some guy by the name of Nicholas Codling, don't know who that is, said proof as if it were needed that aeroplanes should all be running Mac OS.
Oh.
Oh, wow. I mean, Nev would agree with you. There's no two ways about that.
Absolutely.
Yeah. Nick?
Oh, yeah. David Kavanagh says, Captain Andy forgot to update his Netflix subscription.
Oh.
I'm not sure Netflix plays on the primary flight displays, does it?
I mean, one would like to think not.
We'll have to ask Andy next week.
Yeah.
Bill says, I like this one, sad attitude indicator.
Indeed. Oh, it's very sad times. John Fawkes says, do you think I can get Flight Simulator going again to help us? Or where are the floppy disks to boot off when you need them? Hint, in the Maps case, I don't carry anymore.
Floppy disks, eh?
I feel like he's speaking from experience.
Yeah. Nick?
Yeah, so James Graves Brown says, that's it. I'm going to work for Southwest.
Is that because they're all Boeings, I suppose? Yeah.
I think they still use glass screens as well.
Okay, right. Yeah.
But they're on a Mac OS or something.
Oh, right, of course.
Gordon Bennett says, computer says no, please hold tight.
Computer says no.
Very good.
Oh, dear.
So thanks for all those comments as always. Another picture. I've got one in the wings waiting to go in for next week's one. So make sure you keep your eyes on that for a chance to enter into our Caption This Just for Fun picture of the week. So there we go. Right, moving on. Last part of the show. It added extra for our listeners this week. It's a chance to win a prize. I know, we like giving stuff away on the show, don't we, Matt?
Yes, Carlos.
We do. Yeah. And we're going to give away a special prize. I
panicked. I thought that was a trick question. I'm sorry.
No, not at all. Last week, I had the great pleasure of being invited over to Thorpe Abbott's, to the 100th Bomb Group, the Bloody 100th, as they're called, for a little guided tour, a little private tour around the museum. It was a really nice evening. The sun was shining. It was absolutely incredible. Such a great evening. Now, I managed to pick up a special little something to give away to a potential winner of the question that I will ask in a moment. I've got, don't know whether Matt's got the pictures of the prize there. There we go. It's a polo shirt to give away with the embroidered 100th Bomb Group with the Memorial Museum logo on there. And it's in, I will just point out, it's in extra large. I will just say
nice.
Polo shirt is in extra large. So if you want a chance to win said polo shirt, I've got it here. There we go. See, it is here with me in the studio. It's a lovely polo shirt. Very nice indeed. Very nice indeed. Came straight from the guys there at Thorpe Babbitt's. They've got a lovely selection of gifts there in their shop there. Really good museum as well. If you've not already been there, I'm sure Richard E. Flagg has been there many times. But to win the polo shirt, simple question. Hopefully you'll get the answer to this. Now, the 100th Bomb Group at Thorpe Babbitt's flew many missions during the Second World War, flying the B-17 bomber. Now, what was the worst mission for losses that the 100th Bomb Group had during the Second World War? Again, what was the worst mission for losses that the 100th Bomb Group had during the Second World War? Answers via email. The email podcast at planetalkinguk.com, and we'll draw the winners out of a hat on next week's show. I'll put those the question on our social media as well in case you missed it, and if you want to enter as well, I'll pop those on there for you. So again, just one last time, the 100th Bomb Group at Thorpe Babbitt's during the Second World War, they flew the B-17 bomber. What was the worst mission for losses that the 100th Bomb Group had? What was the worst mission? So there we go. There's a bit of homework for you to win that polo shirt. And good luck with that. We'll be giving that away on next week's show. So, Nick, just in case they want to find out where we are hiding in the internet world, where can our listeners find out more about us?
Well, obviously, so just to cover off all the socials quickly, there's Facebook, X, Twitter, Instagram. Search for Plane Talking UK. Now, entries and feedback, and I'll talk about feedback in a second, podcast at planetalkinguk.com. So that's podcast at planetalkinguk.com. And if you want to have a look at us on the web, you can go to planetalkinguk.com. And obviously you can find us here on the YouTube channel, youtube.com/planetalkinguk. Now, feedback, a plea, if you will. Listeners, get in touch and be part of the show. Now, we love our Wednesday nights, and we all do this because we love doing it, and we like to come on and chat about food, hair products, sometimes aeroplanes. But actually, sometimes we get distracted. But yeah, we like doing the podcast, and we like doing it for you, our listeners. So be part of it. Get in touch. Let us know what we do well, maybe what we don't do well, and what we could do better. But also give us some aviation stories. So send us an email. You can either do a video, you can record some audio on your phone. But yeah, drop us an email and get yourself on the podcast. And Carlos, I think you were going to have a bit of a chat also about how listeners can actually come and meet some of the team.
Yeah, just before we wrap up the show, don't forget we are going to be having our flying meet-up at Beccles Airfield, Echo Golf Sierra Mike. That's going to be on the August the 3rd, so it's only a few weeks away now. So if you are around the area, August the 3rd at Beccles Airfield for the flying meet-up. We've got a few famous guests appearing there, such as Captain Al. He's going to be flying in with his Piper to join us. There's accommodation there, and also a bar and restaurant. We're going to have some food in the afternoon. We're going to kind of meet up there from around about 10 o'clock onwards. But don't forget, if you are going to fly in, to make sure you contact the airfield for a PPR. And if you're going to email the flight school as well to speak to the guys there, ops, it's ops@becclesaerodrome.co.uk. All the info is on our Facebook page as well. You can email us as well if you want some more info on that. We'll send that to you as well. So that's August the 3rd. It's only a few weeks away. If you are able to make it, we would love to see you there. Also, September the 14th, we're at Duxford for the Battle of Britain air display. The flying or the entertainment starts from 8 a.m. The flying's going to be starting from 1 p.m. Don't forget, it's advanced tickets only there for the air show at Duxford. It's £49.50 for an adult, plus £5 for your car parking for the day. And children under 15 go free with standard tickets. And if you're an Imperial War Museum member, such as me, Matt, Smith, and Sturman as well in the chat room, you get 10% off those ticket fees as well. So like I said, we're going to be there on the 14th of September. So that's Saturday, the 14th of September at Duxford. And like I said, last year, wouldn't you agree? Last year, Matt, it was a really, really nice day.
Oh, it was. We had a really lovely time. It was a great time. I'm trying to do everything I can to try and be there as well, because it's a bit of a challenge. You and I both being away on a Saturday these days. So it's not as easy as it used to be. So
hopefully, fingers crossed, we'll see some of you listeners there. It'd be really nice to see you at either our flying on August the 3rd or at Duxford for the air show. And fingers crossed we get some good weather that day as well. Right, going to say a big thanks to all the chat room for joining us this week. Thanks to everyone for tuning in and watching the show live tonight. And also not forgetting our audio downloaders of the show as well. Big thanks to all you for downloading the show each week and listening to us talk aviation. We'll be back next week, hopefully, fingers crossed, with some more hosts joining us. Hopefully Neville will be back next week and Andy as well. Big thanks to Nick this week for popping all the show notes together. Very much appreciated indeed. And also as well to Matt as well for being in the studio and pressing all the right buttons in all the right ways.
Always.
For the show. Always. We'll be back next Wednesday for the show, episode 513. Blimey. So that's it, guys. From me here in the home studio, from Matt in the PTK Master Suite studios, and from Nick in his home studios. Say goodbye, Matt.
Goodbye, Matt. There we go. Sorry, we're doing some show admin as we speak on air.
Show admin.
Yeah, down the left hand side of Windows Explorer, you should now see that link that you just typed in. Down the far left hand side.
One would think so.
Down in your networking bit.
Oh, yeah. If I open, no, still.
What?
No, not seeing it.
What, down the far left-hand side? You're not seeing where all your networks... You know where you see all your drive letters?
No, I can't see it in there.
What? How is that possible?
Matter.
When you're How is that possible when you're looking at it?
I've got it in the address bar at the top.
Yeah. But in the panes on the left-hand side, where you've got this PC, local net disk, blah, 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 blah.
Yeah.
You should see network.
No, it's not in there for some reason. Oh, I've lost it now. Hang on. There we go. Anyway, I can I'll have to look. Is there a way that I can like favourite that or something?
Well, no. So what I was going to suggest was,
or I can just do it as a desktop.
Do it as a drive mapping.
Okay.
That's what we do. I think yours is set to drive Z, isn't it, Carlos?
What's that?
You have your PTUK folder as a drive Z, if my memory serves.
I'll tell you now because you set it up.
I know. I'm good like that.
Yes, it is. Yes.
Yeah. I'm just trying to think. What version of Windows are you on, Nick?
I'm just trying to see actually.
Welcome to PTUK IT, where each week we discuss why Nick can't get onto the PTUK
NAS drive.
Thanks, Richard. Much appreciated. Thanks, Alan. Thanks, Masha. Dirk is saying, "Update your credits." Damn it! I know.
I know.
We are going to sort that out.
Yeah.
Oh, can I just point out that it's absolutely pouring with rain outside?
Is it?
Yeah.
Oh, that's my laundry ruined.
Windows 10, Matt.
Okay, right. So
yes, Richard, you're more than welcome to come up whenever you like. I normally stop for dinner at about 1 p.m, as Matt knows.
Oh.
So yeah, Richard, pop up whenever you like. Kettle's always on.
Yeah, even in summer.
Even in summertime, yeah.
Okay, I'm having a brain moment.
What?
I can't remember how to.
I've just sent a little photo on the WhatsApp.
I can't remember how to map a network drive. Bear with. Anybody remember how to map a network drive?
Oh, you've got it there, Nick. Oh, it is working.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Oh, that's all right then.
So I just need a backslash on the end of that address, Matt. Is that right?
Yeah. I'm just trying to. I was expecting in that where it says network, I was expecting in there to have it listed, and then you can do a right click and then map it as a drive. You see, so that it will always go.
I was expecting that as well, but yeah, when I click on network, it doesn't see it.
Right, and if you click on it, it doesn't come down. It doesn't appear.
No.
Okay. If you do a right click on the address bar at the top there, does it give you the option to do a? Actually, Windows 10, you get the search bar, don't you, on the top of that?
I've got a search bar up top right.
Oh, no, that would be search the actual drive. That's because I've got Windows 11 on this machine, that's what the problem is.
What have I got on mine there, Matt? Or don't you know?
You've got Windows 10 on yours.
Oh, right, okay.
I was just going to try and do it as a... hang on. One moment, caller. Please hold. Good old Google. Map.
Anyway.
Net.
It was nice to see so many people in the chat room this evening.
Yes, it was nice to see lots of people in the chat room tonight.
Jolly busy.
Yeah.
So, yeah, great to see everyone.
It still amazes me, even after 500 and... What are we on today?
12.
512 episodes that people still give up their time on a Wednesday now night to sit and listen.
It sort of feels like it's... I don't know. It always felt like on a Friday it was almost a bit of a big ask, wasn't it?
Yeah.
But, yeah, it seems like the switch to a Wednesday has been successful.
Which is good, I'm glad.
Mazus is saying that I thought we'd established Nick was a Mac man. That is quite true, sir. Yeah, I actually have a very old Mac.
Yeah, we've tempted him over to the dark side, don't we?
Well, I've got a couple of laptops. This is an old work one that is a bit ancient, but it's an old Windows thing. My old MacBook is about 15 years old, and I think it runs on coal and might struggle a little bit trying to do lots of Windows screens, I should say, rather than Windows. IT joke there.
See what we did there.
So yeah. But yes, and to anyone that's still listening, send us your feedback. Get those emails in.
Yeah, we would love to hear.
We were talking off air a couple of weeks ago, saying that some of the other podcasts, who shall remain nameless, seem to get a lot of feedback and a lot of emails. So yeah, it'd be nice to get everybody involved and get everybody.
It must be that we do such a sterling job that no comments are needed.
Absolutely. Or that maybe just here in the UK we're a lot more shy and retiring.
Yes.
Yes. That'll be it. Yeah.
That's no criticism of our transatlantic friends, of which I am a big fan.
Yes.
But yeah, I don't know. It seems. Yeah. Yes, I don't know whether that's it, but yeah, it does seem as though certain other podcasts get a lot more feedback than we do, and it would be nice to get people involved and hear what people have got to say.
Indeed.
And I have to say, I'll be really, really happy if we get some people turn up for our flying on the 3rd of August. I think Richard E. Flag is in the chat room. I think Rich is coming to the flying on the 3rd of August. I think Mazouz, you said you were, I think hopefully Mazouz said you were going to come as well on the 3rd of August. And hopefully Sturman should be there as well on the 3rd. So we should have a few people from the chat room joining us on the 3rd of August at Beccles for flying. That'll be good.
Absolutely.
I could do with a friendly / wealthy listener that happens to be based in the southwest and also has an aircraft.
Right, I see. Right.
Because looking at my house to Beccles, I swear it'd probably
486 million miles.
I think it would be faster to drive to Paris.
Probably would, to be fair, yeah.
It's a really long... I think it's something like 6 hours. It's a phenomenal distance, yeah. So I don't know that one's going to be possible for me, but I'm going to see if I can get to Duxford if I possibly can.
Well, hopefully you can, Nick.
Yeah. Well, if nothing else, it's always lovely when we all get together. So yeah, I'd really like to be able to do that if I possibly can.
Absolutely.
Abso-blooming-lutely.
Huzzah. Right. Okay. Let's let these lovely people get on with their days, shall we?
Yes, I'm now going to post the giveaway for this week on our social media.
Have you had my email yet, Carlos, for that polo shirt? That's in my size. I mean, it's a sign.
So that's a special hint for all you people in the chat room now. Get your emails in quick before Nick has a chance to enter the competition.
Podcast@planetalkinguk.com.
Because Nick will send multiple entries in, you see.
Apparently I'm not allowed, but...
No, you're not allowed, honestly. I mean, I would love to enter the Free Food Friday competition on Park Radio to win free food.
Sunday roast.
Sorry, what?
You say?
Free food? There's a competition for free food, and I'm only just hearing about it.
Free Food Friday. So the breakfast show gives away a Sunday roast for 2. The mid-morning show gives away fish and chips from a local fish and chip shop. And then the afternoon show gives away a family bundle pizza offer, including drink and chips. And what was the other one? Oh, and it's cake. So it's an afternoon tea from the Dove in Arborough. And then a bucket of chicken from the Ruchel Half Moon.
So they're not in Devon then.
No, definitely not. No,
okay. No. Excellent.
Indeed. Right. Okay. Let's let these people get away.
Roger that, sir.
Yes,
Roger that.
Indeed.
Right. That's it then for tonight, guys and girls. And we're going to see you all next Wednesday, hopefully. So have a great rest of the week, whatever you're up to, and enjoy the sunshine, although it's started raining here. But anyway, enjoy the rest of the week. And, stay safe. and we'll see you all next Wednesday. Take care, everyone. Bye.
Bye-bye.